Hopefully you'll be feeling more entrepreneurial than you were before you walked in here by the time you get out today. The great news about this part of the course is that less work for me, more work for you. So great news being relative, depending on your perspective. So today we're going to be talking about taking ideas and bringing them into reality. And it's going to be a workshop where you work in groups and basically you're going to form a company. All right, so you guys, here's the overview of what we're going to do. This is kind of just a throwback to last week's example. Does anyone remember me ranting about ketchup bottles and how inefficient they are? Basically, the point is, why do we innovate? And it's to make things better and to make things more efficient and just question our surroundings and ask, how can we improve the world around us? And so today we're going to do this in 3 parts. First of all, we're going to get to know each other a little bit better. We're going to do what we call a Brainwave Icebreaker. So I'm going to pass around Sharpies and Post-it notes here in a sec. And I'll explain that exercise in a little bit. But the first part of the class is all about getting to know one another. Then we're going to focus on thinking big, focus on the process of brainstorming, idea generation, not worrying about what's realistic, but more just generating volume. And then finally, we're going to go from idea to reality. And the last part of the class is focused on creating a fictional company. And then, of course, you're going to present it. So, and of course, I'll try to leave time if you have any questions, comments, if you just want to have a more informal discussion afterwards. I'm always happy for that. So before we carry on, the 3 things I want you to walk out of here with today. So we kind of joked about you feeling more entrepreneurial. The skills I want you to feel more equipped with when you walk out of here today are brainstorming, thinking differently, and having a sense of how to go from pie-in-the-sky idea and taking that idea you've always been sitting on, wondering what if I turn that into an app or a company or an actual product, and then going through the steps of turning that into reality. Okay? This first exercise, so like I said, I'm going to pass out some Sharpies and Post-it notes, and what you're going to do, you're going to write down 3 things about yourself, and at the top of your Post-it note, you're going to write, talk to me about, and then you're going to go mingle around the room. And the reason we do this at the beginning of the course is just so you have a sense of who you're working with for the rest of the semester. And it can be anything, your favorite food, something you're really passionate about, something you collect, or something you heard on the radio today. And every minute or so, every minute or 2, we'll switch it up. And after about 3 rounds of this, we'll move on to the next part of the workshop. Alrighty, so everyone stand up and switch around. Make sure you're not sitting at the same place that you started at. And then find someone and start asking them about what's on their Post-it note.
No, I talked to you. Okay, so I heard.
So did that feel a bit more comfortable to get to know one another since you're all sitting beside each other in class all the time? And did those conversations also feel a little bit less satisfying because you wished you could talk for longer than the time period? Pretty much everyone's nodding. And so that's deliberate because I want these to be the seeds for the conversations you'll have and the relationships you'll make outside of this classroom. So maybe you want to learn more about supercomputers, or maybe you do want to check out Upper Crust after class. These are just starting points for you all to learn more about each other, to talk more with each other, and to jump from there. And it's also to get you comfortable working with each other, because for the rest of this class, we're going to be working in teams. So there is about 8 of us. So I want you to separate into teams of 4 now. You can either switch yourselves around, or you guys are kind of split already. So as we move into the next part of this workshop, we're going to talk about brainstorming and idea generation. So when I talk about brainstorming, I want you to go for volume. Forget about reality. Forget about laws of physics. Forget about what is and isn't possible. By the end of these next few minutes, I want your goal to be to not see any more white space on your your board. The last class that I did this with actually was very, very successful, and they covered it completely with Post-it notes, and you couldn't see it. Some of them more because they were OCD and started arranging Post-it notes before they wrote anything on it, but don't do that. We'll pick a topic, which I'll give you in a sec, and then you're going to brainstorm around that. And so the other set of rules for brainstorming, I go by IDEO rules. They're a design firm. If you want to check out more about design thinking and innovation, we talked a little bit about that last class. You can actually head to ideo.org, and they have a lot of free reading material, free exercises, and things like that. But for now, I just want to concentrate on the IDEO brainstorming rules. So, first of all, defer judgment. So like I said, don't say, oh, well, that's not possible, or, that idea is dumb. Your idea is to build on ideas and say, okay, well, what if we could have faster than speed of light travel? So it's not physically possible, but what if? And then maybe build on the idea, how would you do it? What kind of spaceship would you need to do that? What could you do with that capability? Build on the ideas of others. Encourage wild ideas. But don't talk over each other. So stay focused on topic. If one person's talking in your group, sort of rebound and bounce around that idea. Don't get sidetracked into your own conversations. And be visual. So if you want to draw pictures, stickmen are acceptable, works of art are acceptable. And lastly, like I said, go for quantity. I want you to pick one of these topics and as a group. So spend no more than 2 minutes deciding what you want to brainstorm around, and then just go nuts. So your topics are things that really should exist but don't. For example, faster than speed of light travel. Pet peeves. So, like I said, if you're talking about complaining, do your ice-breaking session. Hang on to those ideas and think about how they can be turned into businesses. The greatest challenges in the world. We touched on this a little bit last class, talking about problems with healthcare, with antibiotic resistance, for example. The greatest trends in technologies, so smartphone technologies, for example, 3D printing technologies, and last but not least, ways to help 10,000, 1 million, or even 100 million people. So pick one of those topics, and then after 2 minutes, you should have found your topic, and then cover up that whiteboard. So turn it over to you. Go for it.
Greatest trends in technologies.
Thanks for number 3, but then oh, you got that?
These are new ideas.
All right. So you guys, hang on to your ideas now, because we're going to move into the last part of this workshop. So I want you to browse through your ideas and take your wildest, craziest idea, and we're going to turn it into a business. And then I want you to answer these questions. So tell me what your idea is, what you're selling, what need it serves and what problem it solves, who will be using it, who's going to buy it, how you're going to make money, what threats and hurdles you'll face, what external help you'll need, who and what can help you. If you have time, name your company, give it a logo, stickman, or something more artistic, whatever. And then tell me what is the first step you need to take today to make this one step closer to reality. If these are too many questions, we'll play business plan Mad Libs. So same thing at company X, we've created product name and description because of such and such problem, designed for such and such user. Then I want you to tell me who your buyer will be and what value add you're giving, what hurdles you anticipate, and you will overcome them by which mitigation strategy. Lastly, I want you to tell me what strengths, assets, networks you have, and your business model by which you'll make money. And then, again, ending by your first step to turn this idea into an action. So go to it. You have 20 minutes, and if you have questions, raise your hand.
Okay, so you want to throw them away. Is it good? What can you build a parent company based on it? Yeah, because someone with a just generating people, students, office.
Alrighty. Show us what you've got.
As you can see, in the brainstorming period, we came up with some pretty impressive ideas. For example, Lamborghinis that transform into F-18s. So not only did we want flying cars, we wanted ones that were visually appealing on both ends. But question.
Sorry, what was the question you guys answered?
He's getting to that.
Oh, okay.
No, that's a really good question. I have no idea. Ultimately, we thought that would be like the coolest company ever, and we came up with some other good ideas, but we really zeroed in on this one. Flavors of Post-it notes. Because who wouldn't want a Post-it note that you can just shove in your mouth? You know, you write something bad about your boss on it, and it's cherry flavored, and it just makes everything better, you know? Maybe you combine that with like flavored ink or something like that. Tell me you wouldn't buy that. You can't tell me that. So, at Sensible Solutions, Sensible Office Solutions Incorporated, or whatever we decided to call it, we've created nutritious, delicious, environmentally friendly flavor notes. Because of, well, generally just bland, flavorless work days. Nobody likes those. We designed it for whoever is working in an office and uses paper products, because let's face it, again, who wouldn't buy this?
Did you design for livestock too?
For livestock?
Yeah.
No, it's not a real food item. So I mean, I wouldn't recommend living on this, but just something to, you know, spice up your day a little bit, so to speak.
So it's candy.
Yeah. We'll do questions at the end, you guys.
Candy, but we're hoping to actually get some, you know, nutrition value. Yeah. So, you know, we get a dietitian on there, maybe a materials engineer, so that it's not mistaken completely for food. You know, we actually have to make the material. I'm totally going out of order here, but we anticipate strong competition from firms like 3M. These guys are multinational giants that do more than just paper, and here we are with just like paper and ink and maybe some perforated climbing tape, because it's similar to a paper product. But we would overcome these problems with a ruthless business strategy. That's all I got so far. A ruthless. I mean, we are going to send samples to the CEO of 3M, and he's going to like them. He or she. I don't know who's actually the CEO of 3M. So some of our strengths include, well, creativity. We are going to have a good network of researchers behind this to create a good product. And we will make money by, you know, a traditional business model. We'll sell the product that people will want to buy. We're hoping to maybe set, I mean, it's not going to be as cheap as a regular Post-it note, but all a regular Post-it note has going for it is it's colorful. And if I could add that orange Post-it right there by making it like mango flavored or something, that would be just rad. So yeah, the first step we need to take is start researching some materials and you know, find some funding. So we'll pass a jar around after this presentation. You can just put your doonies and toonies in and whatever.
Well done, you guys. Good job. All right, questions.
How will you be free from liability, because people write in different inks on your Post-it notes and they consume that, and the ink might contain toxic? So,
Extensive chemical testing and possibly the word offshore comes to mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Can I merge my Hippo Attack company with
your hippo what?
Attack?
Hippo attack?
Yeah, hippos are the most dangerous animals in Africa, and my group rejected my idea. But
All right. Save your hurt feelings for later.
Find a way.
so I have a good business model too.
How do you preserve it?
Hungry.
How do you,
Anybody?
do you use preservatives? How do you?
For zoos?
Do you?
So I've
Do you preserve it? How do you preserve it? Do you put it in
Oh,
a fridge?
these will have like no expiration date. Yeah, it's because it's not actually a food item, but it is something that you can eat and digest, because you know your digestive system is actually pretty amazing.
So what happens if these take off and then you have to produce them in large quantities, and then environmental people who want to preserve the environment, I can't think of the word right now, try and lobby against it completely?
Well, I guess we just take that as it comes, just as anybody else would.
Do you have any strategies in place that would maybe consider having like an eco-friendly version of the Post-it note that's also consumable?
Well, the whole idea of this Post-it note is that it eliminates that paper waste. I mean, other than what you're pooping out, obviously, but
new type of
hopefully
waste.
that would be, yeah, just the best friend.
Question for you guys. So what about unintended or intended consequences if you've thought about this You now potentially have something that will make your workers productive while also feeding them. So do you anticipate a backlash when bosses get rid of lunch hours? So because they have the excuse that their workers are now well fed?
It will not be a replacement for nutritious food. You still need lunch.
So then you're contributing to the obesity epidemic by just adding empty calories.
No, not necessarily. If anything, it would be very low calorie, but something with like, sort of a lot of dietary fiber.
So like the
Sort of
NutraSweet.
like,
Soy.
Yeah,
like
okay.
Splenda or something like that. It's really sweet but low calorie, but this would be more nutritious than that in the sense that it gives your digestive system a workout.
All right, well done, you guys. Have a seat.
Did I mention it tastes delicious?
Front group. So just as these guys are getting set up, back in the 90s, McDonald's experimented with that. I'm not sure if you know. They had edible containers, and it was instead of styrofoam, it was this edible cellulose that was kind of tasteless. Obviously, it didn't take off, but so there's your ideas aren't completely rooted in mayhem. All right, you guys, go for it. Take it away. Let me start the timer.
So our company is called City in a Box. And the idea is providing affordable and sustainable housing all around the world.
So the idea came about because as we were brainstorming some of the world's biggest challenges, we came up with the idea that the majority of the world's population can't afford proper living conditions. There's a lot of problems with the way that city planning occurs in cities in terms of sustainable use of the land, optimal management of resources, having access to water, ensuring that there's job security, that there's food security, that there's environmental security and sustainability. So we thought that this could be a solution to all those potential problems in a way.
So we named the company City in a Box, and it will involve an urban planning software, a program that can look at an area, a village or a pre-existing city, and determine with an algorithm the best way to plan that city, the best way to put in companies and houses, residential areas, and things like that. And the company will also include a team of consultants, architects, engineers, and builders. And we hope, some of the problems we might encounter would be, we started this company because of the problem of affordable housing all around the world. And we hope to sell this company especially for developing countries, but also for first world countries, because this issue is, we can also see these issues in North America and in European countries as well.
So we're hoping that potential buyers would be governments of these areas, especially in areas that can improve city planning, or maybe people who are hoping to start cities in areas that don't have them already. Potentially philanthropists and NGOs who also have money to give back to a cause like that, as well as private companies in case people have things like resorts or islands or things or whatever they might own and they want to have the most optimal use of that space. And basically we're making money off of this based off of the value that it offers. It's something that's unique. It's unique in the technology and unique in what it offers, and it proposes a solution to a problem that people have yet to tackle. So we're hoping to make money also off of long-term investments, although we're discussing and debating in our group whether we're all about actually making money or if our interests are more humanitarian, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the company itself started because of this problem, and we're trying to help solve one of the greatest challenges in the world. But also by making a profit, the company is going to hire different employees, and that also solves another greatest challenge of the world, which is low employment rate. And some of the problems we expect that we will face would be opposition from pre-existing urban planning companies, because every time a change comes into one business, pre-existing companies would always feel threatened, and because this is going to be a cheaper and a more convenient option, we would expect to face resistance from these companies. And also we're selling our ideas for local and national governments. So talking to the governments, we might face a lot of different opposition, and depends on if it's a democratic government, and it comes down to political instability, and if we could actually sit down and negotiate with the government. So we expect a lot of problems like that, and we hope to solve that. One is by lobbying the government, sending people who can negotiate with the government and educate the people and tell them that this company works in the best interest of the community.
And we also have like other competitive advantages, like we have updated technology, and this city in general is a self-sustaining city, so most of the products are produced in the city and use the resources around the city to sustain the people, so it creates employment for the people that were jobless. It also creates source of income at the same time employment. And it also improves health standards, because we also have hospitals, and in general cleanliness makes the place healthy.
And we also have preventative measures against hippo attacks, so that's definitely taken care of.
Also, I'm hoping that the last way that we would kind of mitigate some of these potential problems is if we get at least one customer, one city to prove the value of this place, I think it would be convincing for other potential buyers.
Well done, you guys. All right, questions? Anyone?
So, is this something that's going to be mass-produced out of the same materials with relatively little artistic expression, or are you going to have a bunch of different flavors? What about, okay.
We answer? No?
Yeah, that's the first question.
We will definitely, we will have a team of people working with us, so the team of our architects, consultants, and builders, engineers. We'll also have a team of like designers and people who work in the urban planning business. So it's definitely, because what works the best for one city in Canada is not going to work for another city in Ethiopia, right? So we need to work with the local people as well. So that was one of the things we talked about, because that would be one of the hurdles we will face as we go from different places in the world. People have their own idea of a really cool city, right? So we can't just go there and build a city. We have to talk to the government, and we have to talk to representatives from local businesses and local community and ask them what they want. So we're bringing ideas, and then we make that happen. So it's taking ideas and making things happen.
I also had a point to add on that. In theory, my understanding of what this software could be, it would be incorporating the ideas and tastes and I guess opinions of what's aesthetically pleasing from groups of people all over the place. Obviously, you're not going to appease everyone in creating a city. Even everyone has their own issues with the way Edmonton's set up, but we weren't all part of the process in making it the way it is, but we can influence that in the process. So hopefully this software itself is something, I think as Ajiro mentioned, it's constantly updated so that there's ways for it to be dynamic, so it can be changing things that didn't work out the way we planned, and hopefully in advance in the way it strategically plans the way that you can make the best use of that particular space. It will still be creative, because each space that you're working in is going to be different.
Do you think that would encourage segregation rather than diversity?
Hopefully not.
Well, that's a good question, because as people have similar tastes depending on their class and cultural backgrounds, that might be an issue. But again, I guess just making sure if the community and local government is very actively involved in this project will try to kind of reduce some of these problems.
So what's the first step you need to take today to make this a reality?
Pitch the idea. So pitch the idea to people in the urban planning business, and how this could be applicable, and also pitch the idea to the governments that we're hoping to sell it to, and see what the market is like.
And we also intend to do lots of research first, also to give us more advantage of when we're pitching our idea. So we need to make research on how to get the best urban planning people that will get the sustainable things, eco-friendly things. We need to know those kind of things to be able to have a good plan when we are pitching our idea.
Very good. Last question. Oh,
Well,
all right.
How does it work? Is it a hardware? Is it software? Is it a team of people? Like,
Literally all of those things.
yeah, basically.
It's a box.
All of
Full of people?
The idea is, well, we didn't quite formulate it yet because it's a technology that is yet to be invented. But in theory, it would be everything you need to make a city in a box. So let's say there's a technology in there that allows you to take a place and say, here are the resources. Let's figure out how to optimize these resources. This is how many people we anticipate who need houses here. Let's figure out how that could work best. What jobs would they have? How would you make sure that they have a source of water and food and job security, easy transport, roads planned out, basically everything you need, including the actual materials to make the city, though that seems totally out there. Maybe that
So
could happen.
the first step would be just designing the software and doing the research, as you were saying, of figuring out what exactly goes into urban planning, exactly what resources you need, what different populations need, and then just designing the software around it, and that could be a standalone product on its own. Like a Sim City, but real city.
Yeah, basically.
So real Sim City.
And funny what Kira said, I think we would rather lean towards the software since we're trying to promote productivity in these rural communities. So instead of us imposing our own workforce on this community, we're trying to promote creativity and productivity. So we could just give them a map, so like a framework of what to do. And seeing that we are also incorporating people, local urban designers, it's going to be easier for everybody if we just give them, this is the technology, like a framework, and then you build upon it.
okay, so I'm still trying to understand how the software is going to work. So, for example, you go to a city, you always know that the idea of a human being can never be as bad as the idea of a computer. So, no matter how smart the city is, it can never tell you the right thing to do. So before you get into the city, you need to go around and do the survey and get the right stuff and figure out the best stuff. So why is the software there? So why don't you just sit down with the team as urban planners and say, okay, this is how the city is laid out and this is the
Software can analyze more data than humans can. So if you input the urban plans of Japan, Tokyo, Calgary, Edmonton, Vienna, Prague, New York, etc., to get one human or a team of humans to go through, look at city plans, look at layouts, it would take literally too long and the person would die. But if you put in a computer, it does it a lot faster.
So the computer kind of like hovers around the city for days.
It doesn't need to hover around the city. All buildings in the city are submitted to the city hall, which has plans of where everything is located, the floor plans of the buildings and everything required. So you just need to access city hall documents, talk to governments, of course, access city hall requirements, pump it into a computer, then see which city is rated, maybe, find some kind of rating system by the people who live in that city, or see traffic data or whatnot, which city is most efficient at roads, which city is the fastest in emergency services, etc. Use a computer to do all that. You don't need humans to do any of this. They take too long. They're too slow.
All right, you guys, so that brings us to the end of our time. So if you guys want to continue this discussion beyond this class, that's fantastic. So if you guys want to have your seats, you guys did a great job, all of you. First of all, give yourselves a round of applause. Or don't applaud if you think you did horribly. You can do that. All right, so in the last minute or so that remains to us, just to wrap up, did anyone learn anything or have any insights that surprised them about how easy or hard it is to work in a team, or how hard it is to build an idea and think about maybe logistics they hadn't thought about before? Kira?
I personally felt really bad that as a team we ganged up and rejected his hippo attack idea. Basically, originally we thought we could incorporate it and we couldn't make an agreement of how to bring those two things together. And I think that would be a struggle, like in a real world case where you're trying to make a compromise but can't really get to there. I definitely felt bad, so I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay.
I'm sure this will keep you up at night.
You got our company new employees, so.
All right. Any other insights from the team in the back?
Generating ideas is somewhat easier than I thought. There's always this roadblock in my brain when I'm generating ideas, but I guess once you just start putting things down on paper and worry about the logistics after, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's sort of the opposite of how I operate.
That's exactly one of the things I wanted you guys to come out with. When you're brainstorming, don't let what if or I can't ever limit you. So why do I encourage you to think differently? because, if you remember the last lecture, there is potential in everything and everyone. So I love this picture here because this nifty lamp actually came from cheap plastic cutlery that you were complaining about earlier. And potential in everything and everyone. So some of the examples I talked about last class, Jack Andraka was a 15-year-old who discovered a method for pancreatic cancer discovery that's thousands of times cheaper, faster, and just as accurate as gold standard. Nick DeLoisio created a news aggregator app when he was 15, sold it to Yahoo, and is now project manager at Yahoo at the age of 17. Betty Williams won the Nobel Peace Prize in the 70s when, as an office secretary, she witnessed children run over and killed in the clashes between North and South Ireland, and just so incensed by the injustice of it, rallied hundreds of thousands of people in the 70s, before there was text messaging, before there was social media, to bring attention to this cause. And Irina Sendler risked her life during the Holocaust by sneaking children in her backpack, calling it potatoes, and taking them from internment areas and unsafe neighborhoods to rescue Jewish children. And so these people come from all walks of life. You know, they're young, they're old, they're you know, some of them were burgeoning geniuses at 15, some of them were office secretaries. The point is that, you know, regardless of where you are in your life, there's potential. And so what I want you to get out of this is think differently, because even the small things can make a difference and can change the way people live. So I have a list of resources for you at the end of this presentation about local resources such as eHub here, Startup Edmonton if you want to learn more about entrepreneurial courses, or you know, have an idea that you're sitting on that you want to develop out further, or just further reading like the IDEA website. Other than that, my email address is there as well if you have any questions. And if you want to stick around and ask questions, I'm happy to answer those as well. All right, you guys, thanks for your participation, and go make your business plans.
Thank you.
All right.